He's got 5 employees. He's got 5 different vehicles in his fleet. He's got $1 million goal for 24. He's been recognized on different TV platforms and HGTV, a do-it-yourself network. You've been in this industry for a very long time, 45 years. What was that founding story? What got you into the lighting space?
We were at that point in the economy where you couldn't find people, and trying to grow a company, I just didn't have the skills at that time to grow. And I decided that, what do I really love to do out of all the things I do? And as an artist, as well as a contractor, lighting 100% grabbed my attention. And
besides, being featured on HGTV and DIY network and all that kind of stuff. Tell me that story. Like, how did that happen, and what's resulted from it? Is that something that you would tell young Tommy to go after, or is that just a result of just being in the industry for so long and just knowing so much?
It was such just a quirk. It happened in 06, 07 when the economy was in the toilet, and a lot of us were standing around. And I got this phone call from an executive producer because someone had gave him my name. And they start telling me how we're looking for young and hip talent and blah, blah, blah. And I asked them, well, what's wrong with old and hip?
All right, welcome to another edition of the Superpro podcast, where we dive deep into the journeys of home service professionals who are setting new standards in the industry. I'm your host, Roland Ligtenberg. I'm one of the co-founders of House Call Pro. And today I'm super excited to introduce a true innovator in the lighting industry, Tommy Herren. He's the owner of the Lighting Geek. He's got 5 employees. He's got 5 different vehicles in his fleet. He's got $1 million goal for 24. He's been recognized on different TV platforms and HGTV, a do-it-yourself network. He's been recognized with a lot of his custom lighting solutions that transformed homes and businesses. Today, we're going to explore how he's maintained his competitive edge in a rapidly evolving industry, and how tools like House Call Pro have contributed to success. Welcome to the show, Tommy.
Hey, it's great to be here, honestly. I was wondering if I would ever make it, if I was going to be a bad boy and not be on, because, I do some stupid stuff sometimes.
The fun part is we all do that sometimes. So, that always makes the shows more interesting. Tell me, you've been in this industry for a very long time, 45 years. You started this company, over 20 years ago. What was that founding story? What got you into the lighting space?
Well, I was involved in the landscaping side of it, and I'm a licensed landscape contractor and I'm a licensed electrician. And it just kind of happened that way through the needs of our work at that time. But we were at that point in the economy where you couldn't find people, and trying to grow a company, I just didn't have the skills at that time to grow. And I decided that, what do I really love to do out of all the things I do? And as an artist, as well as a contractor, lighting 100% grabbed my attention. And we basically shut down the landscape department and basically made it into a lighting company. And then we changed the name at that time to the Lighting Geek. I had already done a lot of lighting, but that wasn't, then we went 100% lighting and never looked back.
Do you do any landscape lighting, like a combo of the two?
That's pretty much what we do. Is we do outdoor landscape lighting. We do outdoor sound systems. We're Lutron pros. We cover a lot of things, but primarily we're known for our lighting.
Wow. Yeah, I'm working on some projects here at home. I'm definitely going to have to ask you some of your opinions here. I think it's such an interesting industry too, because there is an artistry element to it, and a lot of it's in the the eye of the beholder. And you're working with clients on things that are very personal, to say the least.
Yes.
And it can make a really big difference in the presentation, the curb appeal. I mean, it makes a world of difference. So it's a tricky space when you've got those customer expectations. How have you managed? I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, they have to struggle with setting expectations, the difference between the customer expectations and your employee expectations and yours as an owner. How have you bridged those gaps over the years?
With humor. You just try to keep it light. But honestly, I try to make their expectations my expectations, which isn't always easy, because you might know of a better way to do it. And I look at what they
Mm-hmm.
want to do. I try to educate them on maybe if you thought about this or if you thought about that, but it's a blending of that. And I'm, I've learned the hard way not to be too headstrong into my ideas and listen to the customer. And I think,
Yeah.
honestly, the biggest lesson I've learned in the last few years is listen, 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 not sell, sell, sell. When you're listening to the customer, then they're going to tell you everything you need to know. And so that, it really applies here.
Yeah, it's sometimes really easy for someone that's new in a space or new hire or new to the industry. They feel like they got pitched, like this is how you got to talk to the customer. And they want to like run through their
Right.
whole spiel, not really let the customer get an edge in. But you're kind of the reverse, which is, look, there's a reason you have, 2 ears and one mouth, and just shut up and just take it all in. And then basically they're just telling you exactly what you should be telling them back to them. And then you got the sale like that.
We try to tell people that are new with us, if your lips are moving, you're not listening.
Yeah.
You need to listen to the customer. They're going to tell you everything you need to know. But that meeting expectations, it's tough because a lot of it has to do on the front end too. So we're really careful to set those expectations. When we get an appointment, we send out 3 videos in 3 different days automatically using Chirp. And so it's automated. We send it out. One of them just introduces the process. Another one introduces what to expect. And the third one introduces costs. And so we pre-qualify them that way, but they pretty much already know what they're going to get. But ideally then when we show up, it's a much smoother operation. They already know what's going to happen, how it's going to happen, how long they have. We make sure to tell them, hey, make sure you're both there. All the decision makers need to be there. I promise not to answer my phone if you won't answer yours. And we just set it so we have a higher rate of success because we set the stage for that.
Yeah, I love that you're doing some pre-work to already set the expectations so that you can have an even better expectation setting like conversation, where you're
Right.
actually getting into the nitty-gritty of what you're going to perform. But that helps get all the, not just the pleasantries, because you still have the pleasantries, but like the operational kind of parts of how things will happen. And I think, especially when you're doing what you're doing, which is like high end, having that presentation layer in the front really sets up your value as a company, as an expert in the space. Besides, being featured on HGTV and DIY network and all that kind of stuff. Tell me that story. Like, how did that happen, and what's resulted from it? Is that something that you would tell young Tommy to go after, or is that just a result of just being in the industry for so long and just knowing so much?
It was such just a quirk. It happened in 06, 07 when the economy was in the toilet and a lot of us were standing around. And I got this phone call from an executive producer because someone had gave him my name. And they start telling me how we're looking for young and hip talent and blah, blah, blah. And I asked them, well, what's wrong with old and hip? And next thing I know, I started doing episodes, and it was entertaining because all of us had really nothing to do. I mean, our jobs were really minimal at that point. So we dove into this, and the experience was awesome because here we had, after a while, the best of all the trades. And we would sit down and design, and we were told to think out of the box. That experience it's like we were a team that had been to war together. We really have remained good friends long after the show ended. But we were able to exploit each other's talents, which caused us the ability to do that later in life when we have other trades. Hey, have you ever thought about this or that? And all of us still encourage the trades we're working with to get on board with us. Let's make this job, whatever we're doing, spectacular. And it's amazing how fast. But learning to do that, it was a great experience, but I basically stumbled on it. Apparently they thought it was good because they kept asking me to come back. So
Yeah, that's funny. I mean, it goes to show that, sometimes you just have to be open for opportunity because it can
yes,
fall in your lap. and you got to be prepared to be able to say yes. And you do it because someone recommended you to somebody else, which means you're doing good work, which means that by doing good work, you're creating more opportunity for yourself. And so kind of this cycle that keeps perpetuating, that's obviously, giving yourself a really successful career, a really successful company, and thereafter.
The epitome of reputation is when you're being recommended by people that never used you. They've only heard you're good, and everyone around them keeps throwing your name around. So that means you're doing it right. And we get referrals all the time, second, third hand. So, wow. I mean, it's just about being true to yourself and really focusing on extreme customer service.
Yeah. So tell me about that. You obviously have folks that are helping you on the team. They're out there doing work. How are you finding these folks to embody the same, I would say, the level at which you produce? So
we tried a lot of things. And early on, because I came kind of from the landscape part of it, we used landscape style people, labor from that. And it's a different beast than electrical. So they basically kept showing up and acting as though they were God's gift to the business owner. And you couldn't train them. You couldn't teach them. And 2 weeks afterwards, they came on. They wanted to be president of the company, and it just got monotonous. So we made a shift. Because I am an electrician, I ended up hooking up with a trade school. And that trade school pumps out X amount of people every quarter. And all I have to do is make a phone call, and they send me a pre-screened group of candidates who now have a loan to pay. So they've got skin in the game, and they have at least the basic knowledge, and they've applied themselves. So right away, that I don't think any of the people before would have ever made it to this level in this trade. So we're starting out with people that want to be there. And so now everybody we hire is a certified electrical apprentice. And that, they know what a pair of wire strippers are. You know what I mean? People don't know what that is. It's kind of tough in the electrical business. So,
yeah, or how to use it without damaging the wires because you only have so much length left. They're tired of doing the same.
I can't tell you the amount of times you give them you tell them to go get an impact, they bring you a drill, or they have an impact and a drill, and they put the screwdriver in the drill and they round out all the screws because they don't know the impact's better. It's all that. So our success rate so far has been excellent. So if you're looking for talented people and you're looking at, you're having that struggle, I'd say go to a trade school.
Yeah, I love that subtle golden nugget there, which is, obviously by hiring someone from trade school, you found someone that went out of their way to apply to a trade school and then thought it was a good idea to take out a loan or pay for it. It shows they're hungry to learn. And they're coming out with at least the basic skills and fairly blank slate, so they're not trained with bad habits. How did you build that relationship up with the trade schools? Like, what did you do? Did you go hang out with the instructors and have beers and say like, hey, for every kid you bring me, I'll give you another beer? Like, what was the trade-off? How did that go?
It was really more, I put an ad out and they answered the ad and said, hey, you're looking for people. I could help you out if you're looking for maybe a higher quality. And they just reached out to me. It was a good fit. So I thought, what do I have to lose? I've been hiring, honest to God, in my career, I worked my way from the bottom as a laborer all the way to general superintendent in the landscaping business. So I probably have hired or fired 5,000 people in my career over all these years. And it's never been as bad as it is now. But, what do I have to lose? So we jumped on it, and so far it's worked out really good.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I think one of the things, especially in your industry where technology is evolving super fast, there's all new kinds of fun stuff. I mean, you mentioned you're a Lutron Pro, so you're dealing with, Wi-Fi networks, controlling things from apps, smartphones, workflows, automations, all those kind of things. What are you doing to kind of stay up to date with everything? How do you, you're you've lived life, and normally people are like, I don't know if I'm going to hire that guy to do my fancy Lutron stuff. Like, how are you staying up to date with all this?
Well, I never sleep. it's like I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning to do a workout, and it's just you have to apply yourself. You're never going to be as good as your company will never be as good as your knowledge base to start with. So with a name geek, I'm kind of expected to know everything. And so I just built relationships throughout the industry over these years, and I have channels of information that I just nurture, and I go to the things that I need to go to constantly stay on top of it. One of the things I did was we live on 2.25 acres, and we took a portion of the property and made it the company. We took a barn, made it into the office. The stable, we cut out all the doors and all the walls and made that into our shop. And but basically we landscaped and developed the property as our training ground. So my entire property, all 2.25 acres, is controlled by Lutron Raw 3. And if I need to train someone, I don't want to do it on my customer's time. So I will go erase the program. I will mess it up on purpose. And I'm just like, show me what you got. Let's figure this out. And so we get real-time training right there. I'm right over them, making sure they're safe. But all of our aspects, that's what we try to do. So there's nothing worse than that sense of a customer looking over your shoulder and, is this your first job? They're asking your guys. And so they can honestly say, no, it's not. I had to work on the owner's house first. So
yeah. I love that. I think, learning on customers' time is a recipe for disaster, not just because you can break things, but also, these are the folks that are going to sing your praises and generate these like third-party referrals, hopefully recommendations one day. And ultimately, when you're learning technology that's fairly difficult, especially when you're doing Lutron stuff, it's great because you can just reset the button and then start from scratch. You don't have to physically break things down and then ask people to rebuild it.
Right. Well, and then we get to choose how fast we train them. Like if there's something more complicated, we park on that for a while. Maybe they have a couple episodes where we just make sure connections for us are the most important thing. I just give them 100 connections, pair of crimpers, a torch. I said, while you're watching TV, I want you to make 100 connections, and we have them make it in a round circle. So before they ever go on the job, they've made 100 connections. They look like they know what they're doing. So it's easier for us to send them out on a job and they actually look productive instead of standing there with the pieces, like where does this go? So because, and the way that we do it is different than they probably taught them in the trade school. So,
so a little bit of retraining in there, but you got to build a habit somehow, and what better way than just repetition, just writing chalk, I will not, speak badly about my teacher, and then over and over and over and over again on the chalkboard. Right. So tell me a little bit. So you kind of stay up to date. You've got industry connections. You've got a good program. You got some training. You got a good source of people for your business. Besides word of mouth, are you doing any other advertising? How are people coming to you?
Well, we used to do a lot of magazines. We did postcards. You name the vehicle, we have done it and done a lot of it. So now, and then things have evolved. A full color magazine, I do a full page in a home improvement magazine, and the phone would ring off the hook as soon as it came out. But that's no longer viable. So you kind of need to also recognize that the trends are changing constantly, and you have to kind of morph with that. And I've been guilty of slow to change. I think that's our biggest strong point now is we embrace change much faster. But right now, almost all of our marketing is done through, I have a fellow geek, his name Alan, and he's a good friend of mine, and he does our website. He handles all of our SEO, our pay-per-click, our Google, and we focus an extreme amount of attention on that. I cannot express that enough. If you are not, if you look So Google looks at your website and rates it from 1 to 100. And I think our rating is like 99, 98. It's way up there. We are looking at that website and everything that goes to our digital presence, if not daily, a couple times a week. I mean, it's the most important thing we do. And I'd say 80% of our business right now is coming through that organically. So I just had a report. So 75% of our new leads are coming through organic searches, and 25 are from pay-per-click. So,
oh wow,
and that's from being in the business a long time. It's from really paying attention to that, but more importantly, doing it right. I think a lot of people are misled and don't get the most out of that. And
sure.
There's a lot of mediocrity in that industry of SEO websites. They read a book today and tomorrow they're an expert.
Oil there. That's right. Yeah.
Tons.
And you got to put in the work. Well, I mean, and you guys have put in the work too. You guys have like 124 5-star reviews. So it's perfection. You guys are showing up really high in the Google local map packs, so there's a lot of other benefits here that you've got that's carrying forward all this organic, besides just the pay-per-click style stuff.
So I'm going to give you a little secret that we do. I hate to do this because my competitors are probably watching this now. So this is my business card. Okay. But on the back, we put 2 QR codes. One of them goes to my 5-star review. One of them goes to my website. And before I give them this card, every time before I leave, I just tell them, right there is my 5-star review. Would you like me to show you how this works? You have to work it. I mean, you got to earn it. But most people are more than happy to do it right there, or as soon as I'm not even out the driveway and already got a bink on my phone that says we just got a 5-star review. And all my people, they do the same thing. So I think that you really have to go after what you need. And you can't just, I know there's services that do it, and that also helps. But if you're not talking, and the biggest thing too is you have to educate the consumer that 5-star reviews are everything now. And I tell them, I go, look, we never used to care. And I had people walking all over me, and we're bigger, better, in my opinion. And so we started looking into why. And, I was on number 70 on the Google. That's not good. That's like page 7.
Yeah.
And we weren't searching for the 5-star reviews. So in 6 months, we went to 124 just by asking the people we work with to give it, please, if you're happy. And we also have forms that they fill out on the job site before we get, and we put in there, if you are not getting 5-star service, call this number. I mean, we're not screwing around. If it's not happening, we're going to figure out what's not happening. You're going to get it. We're going to take care of you. And then we're going to retrain the person that didn't give you 5-star reviews, service. So
I really like that proactive approach. And, if you don't ask, you're never going to get. And so, by having that presentation, having the guys out in the field do that kind of stuff, you're both reinforcing the importance of the 5-star review, which is that education piece that you mentioned. But you're also doing the in-person ask, and then obviously you can have the software also ask. So you get multiple touch points. That really is like, now you're killing it in the reviews game, and that keeps compounding and compounding.
Well, the other part of it is that we service all the installs and the installs of others. So we have a entire 2 vans that all they do is service our 2,000 plus customers. So if we're hitting 2 or 3 or 5 a day, you can get your numbers up pretty fast. And I just don't think people take enough weight in that. And the other thing too is I educate them on what they should be doing for everyone, not just us. I go, whoever does your hair, whoever does your nails, all those services, if you got a detail company coming out, because if you're in front of the people that I want to work for, they have all these services being done. Whoever your dry cleaner is. And I go, give them a 5-star review because they need it too. And so I think if you're genuine and you're honest with people, they listen to you. I think if you're trying to be salesman-y, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
They just think it's a part of your gimmick.
That. Yeah, people detect that, and they know. One of the things you mentioned when we were talking earlier on, even before the show here, is, when you're in good shape, that good physical condition, it bleeds over to the business side, to the mental side. And tell us a little bit about that. You're 65, you've been in the business, you're doing physically demanding stuff. Why do you think this is important for any business owner to be doing?
Well, first of all, you have to, I believe wholeheartedly that as an owner, I'm there to drive the business, period. And I believe in extreme ownership. So if it happens in the company, it's my responsibility and my fault, not the person. Because maybe I didn't train them enough. Maybe we didn't do the things they needed to prep them. But I just finished 75 hard, and that's 5 tasks every day for 75 days. If you don't do one of them, you start over. And no one's watching you. It's all about you learning self-discipline and being fair to yourself. So it's 2 45-minute workouts. One of them has to be outdoors. It's a diet, whatever fits you, something healthy, a gallon of water every day, 10 pages out of an entrepreneur or self-help book, and a revealing picture of yourself every day, meaning, you can't sit there in your sweats all baggy and, hey, look where I'm at. No. Pair of gym shorts for guys and something similar for women. And then you track it. So it's game changing, I'm telling you. By the time you read your 3rd or 4th book, because you're doing this, you're mentally fed with good information. I listen to 2 or 3 podcasts every day on business and how to improve, how to keep people, whatever it is. I think mental toughness is necessary if you're going to own a company.
Yeah, and I think, continually educating yourself. We talk about staying on top of technology trends, but just reading good books or listening to books on audio if you're out and about and working with your hands, just doing that continuing education is huge. And, you mentioned extreme ownership, but, Jocko Willink, if you haven't read that book, that's a really great book for any entrepreneur to read. That's like a must read in my book.
Yeah. I mean, because there's so many aspects in there, and the way he writes it is so easy to understand. By the time he's done with a particular lesson, or principle, you know exactly what you got to do to go apply it. And what's nice about doing 10 pages or 30 minutes is about where I end up is I'm 2 days into one principle. And so it's really sets it in because I'm focused. Yeah. You're getting a really good synopsis of what's going on, and also where you're not doing well, because you're looking at how this is working for a SEAL team or what have you. And then you realize where your shortcomings are and maybe why you're having some of the problems you're having. So you can't read enough books.
Yeah, no, I love it. I really enjoy that book in particular. Let's switch gears just a little bit here. You've been using Housecall Pro for a couple of years now, and we've been coming out with a lot of different features. What's kind of your philosophy on that? How do you kind of keep up with that, and how do you decide what to use?
So, first of all, I'm a kind of all or nothing kind of guy anyway. So I'm all in or I'm not. So when we came over from Salesforce, I think it was, and some other, we were using 3 or 4 different software packages trying to make it all work, and none of them wanted to play in the same sandbox at all. So we're double, triple moving the same data by hand into another piece of software. So Housecall Pro for us, it was a slam dunk. We looked at them all. This one absolutely fit the bill, what we wanted. And I think my approach, because I learned this from Salesforce, is instead of coming in with my procedures and saying, I need Housecall Pro to morph to the way I'm doing things, we immediately got to know what House Call Pro was about, and we worked our company around House Call Pro. So guess what? Everything applies. All the add-ons have been great. We try everything that comes in. If it's not a fit for us because of the way we're structured or the kind of business we give back all the feedback, we drop that particular part and we move on. But it doesn't matter what it is. If it comes down the pipeline and you guys say this is it, we're all on it. And then the apps are the other thing too.
Yeah. It's important, especially, when you've got data, that things can talk to another back and forth, and you're not doing dual, triple data entry, which is just like such a waste of time.
Total.
There's no need for that. Everything should be able to talk to another. But also I think just the golden egg you dropped is just try all the things. If it doesn't work for you, don't use it. But try it, because there's a reason we release it. I know for you guys, you started using Pipeline. It took you a little bit to dial it in, but what do you think about Pipeline tool? What makes it interesting for your business, and what did you have to do to dial it in to really make work for your business?
I think that it takes a minute to kind of just go through, use it, look at it, and at first we couldn't really apply it. And then after we started looking for certain information and we said, hey, I think that's in Pipeline, pretty soon we gravitated to it. Now it's where we go first to look at everything that's going on. Took a little tweaking for us because it's, very broad. It's actually so customizable. You can make it whatever you want it to be, which, we're still actually playing with that, but it works awesome. Yeah, I love Pipeline. I think it brings all the information into your one place where you can kind of see the flow of what's going on.
Yeah, definitely. What advice would you give your younger self, young Tommy? What would you tell him he should be focused on?
A tendency to say, don't start your own company, but no, I would have started it earlier if I'd have known what I know today. I think that I think what I would say to myself, because there's so much stuff I've learned just through time, is unrelenting discipline and going after 100%. And it's hard because when you're younger, you got other things pulling away in your time. But I look back, and if I had applied myself like I do now back then, we'd be talking about making 10 million this year, not 1 million. I think it exponentially changes everything on so many levels. And it's really hard because when you're young, there's a lot of shiny objects out there that you want to go touch, play with, whatever. And it's hard. But I think being disciplined, that was the big one. And if they had 75 hard back then, I'd have told myself to go do that, because that really sets you on a path of success.
Well, so many great just nuggets of wisdom. You guys are definitely a House Call Pro power user. You guys try all the things. It's just really fun to see you guys using the platform and you coming on here to share some of these tips. Thank you so much for coming on this week, Tommy.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. And for everybody else, we've got more guests just like Tommy that are doing well and crushing it in the home services space. I'm excited to see you guys all next week. Thanks again, Tommy.
The Superpro podcast is brought to you by House Call Pro, the leading platform for the home service industry. House Call Pro streamlines your workflows and simplifies everything from scheduling and dispatching to communication and billing. Unlock the full potential of your home service business with House Call Pro. Work smarter and more efficiently with streamlined workflows and detailed analytics. Win more business and serve your customers well, every single time. Join more than 40,000 home service pros who have already revolutionized their businesses. Work smarter with streamlined workflows, get organized with centralized information, and scale your business your way. Learn more at housecallpro.com.